Hello students, today I'm going ahead and teach you how to solve one-step equations using the subtraction, the addition, the multiplication, and the division properties of equality. Okay, when you solve one-step equations, you're going to be solving for the variable. That means you're going to have to isolate the variable so it'll be by itself on one side. In this case, let's go ahead and start with the subtraction property of equality. The subtraction property of equality states that the two sides of an equation remain equal when you subtract the same number from each side. For example, if you have some expression A equals to some expression B, then if you subtract the same number from both sides of the equal sign, you shall end up with an expression that is still equivalent. Not the same answer, but still equivalent. For example, if I have x plus 5 equals 10. In this case, if we want to isolate the variable, they're adding a 5 to the variable. The way we can use the subtraction property of equality is that we can subtract a 5 from both sides, because that will still give us a true statement. So in this case, if 5 minus 5 is 0, so you bring down whatever's on the left side of the equation down, bring down the equal sign, and then you actually do the operation here. 10 minus 5 is 2. So what it's trying to say that this statement is true, even though this statement was true when this statement was true. Even though we subtracted 5 from both sides, the subtraction property of equality tells us that since you did the same thing to both sides, then this statement should be true. In this case, if we substitute 2 in for the variable here, we know that 2 plus 5 is 10, which is equal to 10, which makes this a true statement. All right. Now the addition property of equality states that the two sides of an equation remain equal when you add the same number to each side. Same process. You have some expression A equal to some expression B. Then if you add the same number to both sides of the equal sign, then you should get another true statement. For example, in this case, we'll use y because you can use different things. Okay, so let's say here we have x minus 10 equals 2. Here, since they're subtracting 10 to the y, we can use the addition property of equality to solve for the variable. In this case, we can add 10 to both sides because that will give us another true statement. Then you put a line here. We know that negative 10 plus a positive 10 makes 0. So that becomes a 0. Then whatever's left over on the left side, you bring it down. Now you bring down your equal sign, and then you actually perform this operation. 2 plus 10 is 12. So now you know, since we added 10 to both sides, and this expression was equal when we started, we added 10 to both sides, that means that this expression has to be true. And to check that, you can actually substitute this 12 in for y here. What is 12 minus 10? 2. Is 2 equal to 2? Yes. So this statement is true. So now we know that y is equal to 12. That's how you use the addition property of equality. Let's go ahead and do 2 examples so you can understand this better. Example number 1. Solve each equation, meaning solve for the variable. Represent the solution on the number line. Check your solution. Okay, so in example 1, we have a statement, negative 5 is equal to b plus 8. Well, what does b have to be so that when you add 8 to it, you get a negative number? In this case, since you look on the side where the variable is at, b is over here. So b is on the right side of equal sign, and you know that they're adding 8. Well, in this case, you can use the subtraction property of so to isolate the variable. Since they're adding 8, you can see that they subtracted 8 from both sides by using the subtraction property of equality. So in this case, the zeros, the 8 plus 8, these become 0 pairs, which create a 0. opposite numbers always give you a 0. So the only thing left on the right side here is the b. Then you bring down the equal sign and you actually perform this operation. If you remember the rules of integers, if you have a -5 minus an 8, you can rewrite this as -5 plus a -8 to make things easier. And then remember the rule. If you're adding negative to more negatives, then your answer is going to be negative. And to find out, you just add the numbers. 8 plus 5 is 13. That's how they got this 13 here. Okay? All right. So to check the solution, so the solution is -13. If you were to draw a number line, just draw a number line that includes the solution that you got here, and then just plus two numbers to the right and to the right of it. Right? You know that you're on the negative side, so then it's -12, -11, then -14, -15. So the solution is -13. To check it, just like I showed you guys a little while ago, you would substitute the variable -13 here. So we know that -13 plus 8, this by itself on the left side is -5, which is equal to -5. That's how you check if you have the right answer. Basically, you take the solution that you got and you substitute it back where you see that variable, and then you actually perform the operation, and you end up with the left side equals the right side. If this doesn't happen, then this would be the wrong solution. All right, example number 2. In this case, you got variable x minus 3.2 equals 2.1. Well, we know if you take a look on the side where the variable is at all the time, you know that they're subtracting 3.2 from the left side. Well, in order to get rid of this minus 3.2, now you can use the addition property of equality, which means that since they're subtracting 3.2, we can add 3.2 to both sides and we'll still get a true statement. Now, the main purpose here is that we're adding 3.2 so that we can eliminate the subtraction that's happening to the variable. So in this case, negative minus 3.2 plus 3.2, that becomes 0. Yes? So that you can get a visual here. So that means that, well, x plus 0, that's just x. And then equal to, then you perform the operation. 1 plus 1 is 3, 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. So that means that x has to be 5.3 in order to make this equation true. So you take this number, substitute it back in here, like you learned in the first lesson. So 5.3 minus 3.2 should give you 2.1. And in this case, that's what we get. So this minus that is 2.1, which equals 2.1, which is true. Now you draw a number line with those numbers in there. Since you know that your numbers are in tenths, you could just draw a couple of tenths, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1. Since they're positive, 5.4 and 5.5. That's how you check it. Okay, in order for us to know that you are understanding this, you can pause the video at any time and go back and check to see what happened from one step to the other. And then you must do the got it questions. You have to do these problems in order for us to know that you actually saw the video and that you understood the process. Now,